Hi guys, hope everyone is well. Welcome to another of my presentations on break-even analysis. You guys have probably heard this term before. It's a very fancy term when you hear it, but practically it's very simple. So a couple of weeks ago, I was helping a friend with an assignment, and one of the questions in the assignment was on break-even analysis. I managed to help my friend, and he eventually ended up getting an A for that assignment. So I thought that perhaps I should share this topic with you guys as well. So what is break-even analysis? It's very simple, guys. Very, very simple. It's an exercise used to test and see at which level of output relative to income will the business not make a profit or not make a loss. So this basically means, guys, at which number of units, as we can see here, we have units. When compared to our income, here we have net income, will the business not incur any expenses or losses and also not make any profits or income? So we're looking for that particular point, guys. So what are the benefits of conducting a break-even analysis exercise? For me personally, guys, one of the major benefits is you get to understand your business at a very high level. It's a very different level. You just get to get a greater understanding of your business as it relates to your expenses, your fixed costs, your variable cost, your contribution margin, your sales, as well as your total costs. So that's one of the major benefits. So guys, just for a more understandable and a more practical example, I've prepared a case study here to the right. We have a case study here. We have some information as they relate to the case study, and then we have a required here. But maybe just before we dive into the question, let me show you guys the final answer. The final answer looks like this. We have our main table populated. We have, of course, our set of business assumptions. This table speaks to the graph. Both these tables, this table as well as this table, they speak to this graph. So this is what the final answer looks like. Let's dive into the question. Maybe just before I read the scenario, let me first explain what's going on here, guys. So of course, as I mentioned earlier on, we have the set of our business assumptions. What I decided to do, guys, was to prepare this break-even analysis exercise over a monthly period. I did that because it's much easier to understand, and it's very tedious to prepare one over a yearly period. So this is over a month, and then our unit start is of course 0, and then our units increment is basically the number of units that our units increase by. An example of this would be from 0 to 100, 100 to 200, 200 to 300, and so on and so forth. Our unit selling price, that's simple, guys. It's the price that we will be selling our goods at. And then our variable cost. So what I'll do is I'll explain variable cost, contribution margin, as well as fixed cost later on into the example. And then we have our total fixed costs, which I'll also explain later on. Okay, let's go straight to the case study, guys. So Sipho has a business idea. He wants to sell a kota next to the taxi rank in his neighborhood. He has in recent years seen a number of similar businesses open up but end up closing down in less than a year because of poor planning. A friend of his advised him to do a break-even analysis before setting up shop. Sipho comes to you to ask for help. He provides you with the following information. So we have a selling price of 40 rands, we have variable cost of 80 rands, and then we have fixed cost of 3,000. This is for rent. So basically, Sipho has a location next to the taxi rank, and he basically pays 3,000 rand in rents each and every month. So I'm not sure if you guys are. Oh, let me just read the required. Prepare a break-even analysis table and chart, and then advise Sipho if he should or shouldn't open up his shop. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, But there's a stats, I think it's by Ustats SA. It says that 65, I think to 75% of new businesses end up closing within 6 months of starting their businesses or of opening up. And I think a major reason as it relates to that is because people tend to just open up businesses without the relevant information, without sitting down and compiling a business plan, without doing a break-even analysis exercise to test if their business will be able to be successful in that market. They just go straight into the market, not understanding the market, having not done a market analysis. Uh, they don't have a marketing plan and things of that nature. And the reason why they then end up closing down within 6 months is because of all that. So, guys, here we have a required. They say we must prepare a break-even analysis table and charts, which I've showed you guys earlier on, and then it's to ultimately advise Usipo if you should open up or you shouldn't open up the shop. Of course, us advising Usipo if you should open up or not will be justified by our table as well as our chart. So let's begin populating our chart. So our unit start is of course 0. Enter. And then our unit increment is equal to 0 plus our increment of 100. And then we lock the cell, guys, so we can click and drag all the way down, enter, and then we click and we drag all the way down. So our unit starts from 0 all the way down to 1000. And then our sales, of course, are equal to the number of units times our unit selling price, which is 40 rands. And then we lock the cell, guys. We lock the cell, and then we just double click all the way down, and then we save our work. And as I mentioned earlier on, that I will be explaining variable cost as we continue with this exercise. So basically, guys, variable costs are those costs that change in relation to productivity levels. A good example for this particular scenario would be cooking oil. The number of cooking oil bottles that Usipo uses in order to make his quota. Let's say his quota has abo fried chips, has some bologna, has some cheese. So the number of cooking oil bottles that Usipo uses will increase in relation to the number of quota in relation to the number of quotas that Usipo sells. So if Usipo sells 100 units of quotas, when he sells 500 units of quotas, the number of cooking oil bottles that Usipo uses in preparation in making his quota will obviously increase. So that's what variable cost is. And then it changes in relation to the number of units that you produce. If you produce 100 quotas, the number of bottles that you use obviously won't be the same as if you produce 900 units of quotas. So our unit variable cost is 30 rands. So we'll go equals to our units times our units variable cost, and then we will lock the cell, guys. Lock, enter, and then we click all the way down. That looks correct. Okay, and then our contribution margin. So basically, guys, contribution margin is a fancy term, or it's a fancy word for it's similar to gross profit. It's basically the money that is left after you've deducted variable costs. So it's the money that is left after you've deducted variable cost to cover fixed cost. It's similar to our gross profit. So it's the difference in our sales and our variable cost. And then we double click all the way down. That looks correct. And then guys, our fixed costs are the opposites of our variable cost. These costs do not change in relation to productivity levels. A good example of a fixed cost in this particular scenario would be rent. Whether Usipo produces 0 units of quotas or whether he produces 1,000 units of quotas, he will still have to pay rent of 3,000 rand because he has a location next to the taxi rank. So his landlord will come demanding the 3,000 rand for rent. So we'll go 3,000 rand and then it's fixed. Click all the way down. And then our total cost, of course, guys, are equal to our variable cost plus our fixed cost. Enter. And then we double click all the way down. That looks correct. Yes, that looks correct. And then obviously our net income is the difference in our sales and our total cost. So it's equals to sales minus our total cost. Enter. And then we double click all the way down. Double click all the way down. Let me just change the colors of these numbers. So guys, as you can see from here all the way to here, so it's from 0 units down to 200 units. Usipo will not be making profits because these numbers are negative. So that's why they are in red. Over here, this is our break-even point. At this point, net income is equal to 0. So this basically means that Usipo is not making a profit and he's also not incurring any loss. And then as from 400 units, Usipo is beginning to make a profit. At 400 units, is making a profit of 1,000 rand. At 500, 2,000, and at 10,000 units, it's 7,000 rand. So let me just change the color of these numbers to green because a profit is green. It's a good thing. So guys, we've been able to populate this table. Remember that this table as well as this table will speak to our graph. If you remember our answer, this table as well as this table will speak to our graph. Okay, 0 here. Let me just change the color of this font to blue. Okay, right. So now we have to populate this table. So what this table basically is, it's very important for our graph as well as our label within our graph. And I'm talking about this label, guys. So let's begin. So break even X. So this point will basically be the point in our graph, will be the X point in our graph. And it's equal to, open brackets, total fixed cost divided by, I can't seem to find, divided by, open brackets, our unit selling price divided by the difference in our unit selling price and our unit's variable cost. Close brackets. And then we enter. So our break-even X is 300 units. Remember, guys, that whatever is here has to agree with what is in the table, right? And then our break-even Y is equal to, our break-even X times our unit selling price, which is then 12,000 units. So basically, guys, if you can see at this point, our break-even X is 300 units, which is 300 units here, and our break-even Y is 12,000 rand in cost, which is the same as our break-even Y here. So this as well as this makes sense. They agree. And then our label, guys, our label will be this label over here. Our break-even units is equal to. So this is a text formula, guys. It goes like this. It goes equals double inverted commas, break even units, space equals, space, double inverted commas, C21. Okay, C21. That seems to be the problem now. Oh. Oh no. Break even units and oh no. There's no need to insert a text formula here, guys. Our break even units is break even units is equal to 300 units. Enter. So guys, we've populated all three tables. All that's left now is to insert a graph which speaks to all these figures. What I've decided to do, guys, is to break up these sessions into two. The first being, of course, table work, which we've already done, and then the second being graph work. So I'll catch you guys in the next video.